She laughed as food splattered his face, mocking him in front of everyone. What happens when a janitor's hidden talent is seen by the one person who can change his life? Will cruelty face justice, or will silence win? Can kindness rewrite a broken story? Stay until the end to find out. Welcome to Unveiled Wealth, where courage sparks redemption. Subscribe and let's dive in. Now, let's begin. He was just a janitor, sweeping through a crowded mall. One spill of food changed everything. The woman who mocked him had no idea. Someone powerful was watching. It was a crisp October afternoon at Chicago's Westfield Plaza. The food court buzzed, thick with the scent of fries and cologne. Daniel Carter, late 20s, pushed a broom across the marble floor. His blue uniform sagged, faded. His sneakers, worn thin, squeaked faintly. He kept his eyes low, invisible among the shoppers. Daniel knew his place. Sweeping near a taco stand, he brushed ketchup packets and straws into a pile. Then came the clack of heels. Jessica Reynolds stepped from a black SUV, silk scarf fluttering, phone pressed to her ear. Her cosmetics brand plastered city billboards. Shoppers stepped aside, awed. She carried a tray tacos, soda, nachos oozing cheese. Daniel moved back on giving way, but her tray tipped. Nachos splattered his chest. Soda hit his face, cold, sticky. The tray crashed down. Shoppers froze. Some snickered. A teen pointed, phone raised. Jessica didn't pause. She laughed. Sharp, cruel, unapologetic. Watch where you're standing, janitor, she sneered, red lipstick curling, stepping over the mess. Daniel stood, cheese dripping, soda stinging his eyes. A small notebook slipped from his pocket, landing in the spill. He snatched it, tucking it away. He didn't shout. He didn't curse. He just knelt, grabbing the tray, wiping the floor. Across the court, a woman sat at a coffee kiosk, tablet open. Sarah Mitchell, CEO of Westfield Plaza, saw it all. Her fingers froze on her cup. Her jaw tightened. Cruelty like that didn't sit right. She knew Jessica, her fame, her temper. But today, Jessica's venom had a witness who fixed wrongs. Sarah closed her tablet. She dialed her assistant. Find out who that janitor is, she said, voice low. I want everything. Daniel Carter scrubbed the stain from his uniform, but Jessica's laughter echoed in his mind. He swept through Westfield Plaza's food court, trays clattering, voices buzzing. The marble floor gleamed, but his shoulders sagged. He wasn't just a janitor. He was a brother, a dreamer, his hopes hidden in a frayed notebook. No one saw him. No one cared. But someone did. Sarah Mitchell leaned back in her office. The hum of air conditioning soft against the glass walls. The atrium sparkled below shoppers. Lights. Life. At 38, she'd carved her path from cashier to CEO, a story buried beneath her crisp blazer. Her assistant, Claire, set a file on the desk. Daniel Carter, Claire said. 29. Janitor, 2 years. South Side, raising his brother, Josh. Parents died car crash 5 years ago. Sarah opened it. A photo. Daniel, eyes weary but warm, arm around a skinny teen. She traced the image. South Side's no easy place, she murmured. He's doing this alone, Claire nodded. Never misses a shift. Sarah's gaze drifted downward. Her mother's hands, raw from cleaning, flashed in her mind. Daniel's silence yesterday. His steady grip on the broom, it lingered. Keep this quiet, she told Claire. I'm not done watching. As dawn broke over Chicago, Daniel stepped off the bus, breath fogging in the chill. His spare uniform chafed, too thin for October. His sneakers, still sticky from soda, squeaked on the pavement. Back in the food court, he swept, ignoring curious glances. His supervisor, Mr. Evans, loomed nearby. Carter, you're dragging. That spill's still there. Daniel's jaw tightened. Got caught in it, sir. Evans scoffed. No sob stories. Move faster. Coworkers watched, some pitied. Others smirked. No one spoke. Daniel gripped his broom. He thought of Josh, his school books piled on their wobbly table. He swept harder. He weaved through the crowd, the food court's noise fading behind. The mall's glitter designer bags, glowing signs felt worlds away from his life. His fingers brushed his notebook, tucked inside his jacket. Yesterday's shame burned, but Josh needed him. Not for him, not for pride, for Josh. He paused, eyes distant, seeing his brother hunched over homework under a flickering bulb. The weight of it all pressed down, but he kept going. While Daniel found a quiet corner at the loading dock, the air thick with diesel and damp concrete, He sat on a crate. His notebook, edges curling, lay open. He scratched out lines of poem about the city's pulse, its weight, its spark. His pencil moved fast, words spilling like a secret. Sarah, in a plain coat, passed by, her phone a prop. She saw his focus, the way he shielded the page. She kept walking, but her steps slowed. Something about him wasn't ordinary. Sarah returned, her steps quickening through the food court's din. She sat near Daniel's section. Tablet ignored. He mopped a coffee spill, precise, tireless. A crumpled paper slipped from his pocket, landing near a table. Sarah waited, then retrieved it. A torn page inked tightly. The city doesn't rest. It hums, fierce, cradling dreams no one claims. Her breath caught. The words cut deep, raw, alive. She glanced at Daniel, still working, oblivious. A janitor wrote this. She folded the page, pulse quickening. Something had changed. She couldn't look away. Daniel Carter mopped a quiet hallway in Westfield Plaza, the tiles chill under his feet. Jessica's laughter lingered, a weight he couldn't shake. The mall's gloss glass doors, soft lights felt distant, his faded uniform a stark divide. He didn't complain. He didn't falter. He just worked. Sarah Mitchell stood by the atrium's railing, coffee cooling. Below, Daniel mopped, steady despite the bustle. For 3 days, she'd watched his focus, his glances at a notebook in his pocket. The page she'd found, "The city doesn't rest," burned in her mind. Sarah wasn't impulsive, but Daniel was more than a janitor. She stepped into the staff quarter, bleach sharp in the air. Daniel stacked brooms, pausing as she approached. "Ma'am," he said, eyes low. Sarah held up the crumpled page. "Yours," he froze, fingers tight on a broom. "I dropped it. Just the scribbles." Sarah tilted her head. "Scribbles don't hum." "Why write?" Daniel shifted. "Sneakers squeaking. Keeps my head clear." His gaze fell. "South Side struggles heavy." Sarah softened. "These words, they're powerful." Daniel's jaw twitched. No one cares about a janitor's words. Sarah leaned closer. "I do. We're hosting an open mic next week. Stories. Poems. Share something?" Daniel's eyes widened. "Me, I'd be laughed at." Sarah held his gaze. "You're more than you think." He took the page, fingers brushing ink. "I'll consider it." Sarah nodded, leaving the air thick with possibility. Daniel shoved the notebook into his pocket. Her words, powerful, stirred fear. Would they judge him? He mopped faster, handles slick. Lisa, a concierge, passed by, eyes narrow. "Chatting with the boss." "Carter," she said, loud. A cleaner smirked. "Getting cozy." Daniel's cheeks burned. "Just work," he muttered. He didn't ask. He didn't demand. He just worked. Sarah sat in her office, the page on her desk. The city's hum, its dreams, it was truth. She thought of her mother. Letters by lamplight, dreams lost. Daniel's fire was hers. She typed add open mic slot. Priority. She paused, seeing him, pencil moving. Unseen, but she saw. At the loading dock. Daniel sat, exhaust heavy. He opened his notebook, pencil hovering. Sarah's dare lingered. Josh's hope flashed his anchor. Could words matter? He wrote a line. Unsure. For the first time, he wondered. Sarah Mitchell's office glowed. Laptop screen soft. She unfolded Daniel Carter's page. "The city doesn't rest." The ink felt alive, a voice trapped. It nagged her familiar, sharp. She clicked the mall's archives. A writing contest entry. City's Pulse, by D. Nguyen matched Daniel's prose. Her pulse quickened. No bio, just a first place, anonymous. She cross-checked records. Carter, Southside Gmail. Her breath caught. Daniel was D. Nguyen. Narananan. She reread the prose, shadows dancing. Not a fluke. Not a hobby. A gift. A janitor outshone writers, yet hid it. Why? Sarah thought of her mother. Dreams buried for survival. Daniel's notebook, it was sacrifice. She closed the laptop, truth heavy. A poet in a janitor's uniform. Daniel mopped the food court. Grease thick. Shoppers rushed, bags rustling. Sarah's words, "You're more than you think," burned. Hope was risky, Lisa whispered nearby. Chatting with Mitchell, thinks he's special. Cleaners smirked. Daniel's jaw tightened. He mopped Josh's textbooks in his mind. He couldn't stop. Lisa stepped closer, badge glinting. "Stick to cleaning, Carter." He met her gaze. "I'm doing my job." She scoffed, turning away. Daniel's hands shook, but he worked. Sarah entered the atrium, catching Lisa's jab. Her jaw tightened. She approached. Ishamasanan. Problem, Lisa faltered. No, ma'am. Sarah's eyes narrowed. Focus on work, not rumors. Lisa retreated, glare lingering. Jessica Reynolds sat in a cafe, phone bright. A barista fumbled her latte. Do it right, she snapped. The barista flinched. Jessica sipped. A gala invite pinging. She smiled, sharp. She'd shine. Sarah returned to her office. Daniel's page open. She emailed the event team, confirm open mic slot. She paused, picturing him, words flowing. The truth was out, changing everything. Westfield Plaza's atrium pulsed, voices humming. Daniel Carter mopped near the fountain, his notebook heavy. Sarah Mitchell's challenge, share something, dared him to try. He feared failing Josh, his brother's hope. He belonged here, steady, not on a stage. But her words stirred him. Sarah opened her office, coffee mingling with wood. Daniel's prose, city's pulse, cut deep. She'd reserved his open mic slot. She dialed Claire. Bring Daniel up. Daniel paused when Claire approached. Mrs. Mitchell wants you. His stomach twisted. The elevator hummed loud. He entered, Sarah holding his page, smiling. Citrinum. He perched, hands tight. Ma'am, or if it's the spill, she slid the page over. This sur dun. And this, her laptop showed 1CD, Nguyen. First place. Daniel's breath hitched. Long ago, Sarah leaned forward. Why hide it? He scuffed his sneakers. Didn't matter. I'm an ummy. Sarah softened. You're a writer. Your words move people. Read at the open mic. Daniel's hands shook. I'd fail, Josh, ma'am. I'm no speaker. Sarah held his gaze. You'll lift him. You changed me. He looked at the page, Josh's hope flashing. Could he risk it? Not for fame? For Josh. He swallowed. I'll try. Sarah smiled. That's enough. The rest was. You'll shine. He took the page, warm in his palm, and left. The food court buzzed. Lisa stood, arms crossed. Office visit, she said, loud. Kissing up Daniel's cheeks burned. Work, he muttered, mopping. Lisa scoffed. Dream on. He gripped the mop. Steady. Jessica Reynolds reclined in her penthouse, wine in hand. Agala has vipipinged. She smirked. Her stage awaited. Sarah sat, contest page open. Daniel's words fierce, unseen. Her mother's lost dreams stirred. She typed confirm Daniel's slot. However, she saw him notebook hidden. He'd shine soon. The bookstore in Westfield Plaza glowed under soft lights. Shelves heavy with new paper and ink. A small stage stood at the back, draped in red, a microphone gleaming. Shoppers and locals filled the chairs, their murmurs blending with the hum of the mall. Daniel Carter stood backstage, his notebook clutched tight, pages creased from nervous fingers. His janitor's uniform was swapped for a borrowed shirt, stiff and unfamiliar. Sarah Mitchell's words echoed, You'll shine. But his pulse raced. He didn't belong here. Daniel peeked at the crowd, spotting familiar faces. Lisa, arms crossed, her glare sharp, two cleaners whispering beside her. His throat tightened. What if they laughed? What if he stumbled? He thought of Josh, his brother's quiet faith, his reason to try. No spotlight, no femi, just truth. He exhaled, gripping the notebook. The MC called his name. Daniel stepped forward, the stage lights hot on his face. The crowd hushed. Daniel cleared his throat, his voice low, unsteady. This is something I wrote. He opened the notebook, hands trembling. It's called Cities Wait Till Me When. He read, The city presses down. Its light's a mask. It buries dreams, but they breathe still, in cracks, in shadows. His words, raw and steady, filled the room. The crowd leaned in, faces still. Lisa's smirk faded. A woman in the front row closed her eyes, nodding. Daniel's voice grew stronger, each line a pulse. We carry it, the weight. We rise. He finished, the last word hanging. Silence gripped the room. Then it erupted, claps, cheers, a wave of sound. Daniel blinked, stunned. He stepped back, notebook pressed to his chest. The MC clapped, beaming. Daniel Carter, everyone! The crowd roared again. Sarah watched from the back, her arms crossed, a quiet smile on her lips. She'd seen his words on paper, but hearing them alive, fierce hit harder. She thought of her mother, her unwritten stories. Daniel wasn't just a janitor. He was enough. A woman in a blazer approached Daniel as he left the stage, her card in hand. "I'm Ellen Tran with Lakeview Press," she said, voice crisp. "Your poem, it's special. Send us some manuscript. We'd like to talk." Daniel's eyes widened. "Me, I'm not Ellen cut in. You're a writer. Call me." She handed him the card, her smile firm. Daniel nodded, the card heavy in his palm. A publisher. Him, he slipped it into his pocket, dazed. Lisa stood nearby, her applause slow, forced. "Lucky break," she muttered to a cleaner. "Won't last." The cleaner shrugged. "He's still just Carter." Their words stung, but Daniel didn't hear. He was lost in the moment, the crowd's warmth still on his skin. He glanced at Sarah, catching her nod from across the room. She didn't approach. She didn't need to. Her belief had carried him here. Meanwhile, Jessica Reynolds swept into the bookstore, her heels sharp against the wood. She'd come for the gala's pre-event buzz, her presence a magnet. Shoppers turned, whispering. She scanned the crowd, unaware of Daniel's triumph. "This better be worth my time," she told her assistant. "Mia," her voice cutting. Mia nodded, silent. Jessica's world was hers, bright, commanding, blind to the poet in the shadows. She'd shine at the gala, oblivious to the story unfolding. Sarah lingered by the shelves, the bookstore's hum fading. She watched Daniel slip through the crowd, notebook in hand. His poem replayed, dreams breathe still. Such a requinto monomon. She'd pushed him to this stage, but he'd walked it alone. Her chest tightened. Not pride, conviction. He was just beginning. The echo of applause still rang in Daniel Carter's ears. But doubt crept in as he swept Westfield Plaza's atrium. The bookstore event, his poem, the crowd's cheers. The publisher's card felt like a dream too big for his life. His notebook, tucked in his pocket, was a weight he wasn't sure he could carry. Sarah Mitchell's belief pushed him forward, but Southside's shadows pulled him back. Sarah poured 2 coffees in her office, the rich scent curling through the air. The glass walls framed the mall's glow, but the room was still, intimate. She'd seen Daniel's triumph, his words weaving magic in a crowded room. At 38, she knew talent when it shone, and Daniel's was undeniable. She'd asked Claire to bring him up, her voice calm but urgent. "Tell him it's quick." The door opened, and Daniel stepped in, his borrowed shirt wrinkled, his sneakers scuffing softly. "Ma'am," he said, eyes low. "Sit." "Daniel," Sarah said, sliding a mug toward him. "You were incredible last night." He gripped the chair, his knuckles pale. "It was just a poem." Sarah smiled, leaning forward. "It was more, I want to know how you got there." Those words, they're not just chance. Daniel's gaze flicked to the mug, steam rising. He wasn't used to being seen. Not like this. Her warmth disarmed him, her eyes steady, waiting. He exhaled, the weight of years loosening. "Southside," he began, voice low. "That's where it started. Grew up in a one-room place. Me and Josh, our parents. Dad drove a cab, Mom cleaned offices. They didn't make it home one night. Car crash. I was 16. His fingers tightened, the mug untouched. No money, no time. Just us." Sarah listened, her coffee cooling. She saw her mother's hands, calloused from nights scrubbing floors. She knew that weight. Daniel's eyes grew distant. "Library was my escape. Old books, torn pages, I'd read anything. Started writing to make sense of it. Poems, stories, whatever kept me going. Sent a few to contests, won one." He paused, jaw tight. "But publishers wanted more than I had time. Money. A name. Got rejections one after another. I stopped trying." Sarah's chest ached. "So you hit it," she said softly. Why, he looked up, raw. "Josh needed me. Dreams don't pay bills." The office was quiet, the hum of the mall faint. Sarah leaned back, her voice gentle. "My mom was a janitor, Daniel. She wrote 2 letters, never sent. She gave up her dreams for me. You're not just writing for you. You're carrying hers, Josh's, everyone like you." Daniel's breath caught. Her words landed deep, stirring something he'd buried. "I never thought of it like that." Sarah nodded. "Keep writing. You're not alone anymore." He stood the mug still full, his notebook heavy in his pocket. "Thank you," he said, voice thick. The door closed softly behind him. Sarah stared at the empty chair, her mother's face clear in her mind. She wouldn't let Daniel's light fade. Back in the food court, Daniel mopped, the marble cool under his hands. Lisa's voice cut through the noise, sharp near the coffee kiosk. He's playing writer now, she told a cleaner. Thinks he's better than us. The cleaner laughed. Mitchell's pet. Daniel's grip tightened. But he didn't turn. Whispers followed him, heavier than Jessica's spill. He thought of Josh, his quiet pride. He kept mopping. Meanwhile, Jessica Reynolds stood before a mirror in her penthouse, a silk gown catching the light. Her gala speech was memorized, her smile practiced. "This mall needs my face," she told her assistant. "Mia," her voice dripping confidence. Mia nodded, silent. Jessica's world was a throne untouchable. Supreme. She'd dazzle Westfield, blind to the janitor's rise. Sarah sat at her desk, Daniel's poem open on her laptop. His words, dreams, breathe still, felt like a promise. She typed a note to the event team. Promote the open mic results. Shuanaf Suridodi. Her fingers paused. He'd shared his past, his pain. Now she'd help him claim his future. The atrium of Westfield Plaza buzzed with midday shoppers, their footsteps echoing off the marble. Daniel Carter pushed his mop, the handle worn smooth under his palms. His poem's echo, "We Rise," still warmed him, but the publisher's card in his pocket felt like a fragile promise. He dared to dream, but the mall's glare reminded him he was still a janitor, still unseen. Whispers trailed him, sharp and heavy. Lisa, the concierge, stood by the fountain, her badge catching the light. Her voice carried, loud enough for cleaners nearby. "Carter's playing poet now," she said, smirking, and cozying up to Mitchell. "Opportunist in EU1. A cleaner," Tom nodded. "Thinks he's too good for us." Another laughed. Janitor with a mic pathetic. The words sliced, each one a jab. Daniel's mop slowed, his jaw tight. He didn't look up. He didn't speak. He just worked. The mop's rhythm his only shield. But inside, Southside's weight pressed harder Josh's hope, his own fragile spark. The atrium's hum grew as Jessica Reynolds swept in, her heels clicking like a metronome. Her silk scarf fluttered, her phone pressed to her ear, scheduling gala appearances. Shoppers parted, awed. She paused by the fountain, overhearing Lisa's gossip. Her red lipstick curled. "That janitor," she said, loud, deliberate. "The one I spilled food on. Now he's a writer." Her laugh rang, sharp and cold. A janitor faking talent. How quaint. Shoppers turned, some chuckling, others whispering. Daniel froze, the mop still in his hands. His cheeks burned. Jessica's voice a mirror of her first cruelty. He wanted to vanish, to shrink back into Southside's shadows. Sarah Mitchell strode through the atrium, her blazer crisp, her steps quick. She'd come to check the gala setup but caught Jessica's words midair. Her eyes narrowed, landing on Daniel, his shoulders rigid, his gaze fixed on the floor. Lisa's smirk, the crowd's murmurs. Jessica's sneer, it was too much. Sarah's pulse quickened. She'd seen Daniel's truth, his words raw and alive. This wasn't just gossip. It was injustice. Not his fault, not his burden. Their shame. She stepped forward, her voice cutting through the din. Enough. The atrium stilled, heads turning. Jessica raised an eyebrow, unfazed. Lisa faltered, her badge glinting. Sarah faced them, her gaze steady. "Daniel Carter's talent is real. I've read his work. It's better than anything you've done with your words today." She looked at Jessica, unflinching. "Mocking him doesn't make you bigger. It makes you small." Then to Lisa. "And you focus on your job, not tearing others down." Lisa's face reddened. "I was just," Sarah cut her off. "Just wrong. Respect him or answer to me." Lisa stepped back, silent, her smirk gone. The cleaners shifted, uneasy. Jessica laughed, sharp. "Really, Sarah defending a janitor. How noble." She tossed her scarf, turning away. "This mall's standards are slipping." Her heels clicked, fading into the crowd. Sarah didn't flinch. She'd faced worse than Jessica's barbs. But Daniel, she glanced at him. His eyes still low, needed more than words. She approached, her voice softer. "Daniel, don't let them dim you." He nodded, barely, his mop moving again. "Yes, Mammon." The words were quiet, but his grip was firm. Sarah's chest tightened. She saw her mother ignored, unseen. Daniel wasn't alone. Not anymore. Meanwhile, Jessica sat in her SUV outside, her phone buzzing with gala plans. "They'll forget that janitor." She told Mia, her assistant. "I'm the story here." Mia nodded, silent, her eyes on the mall. Jessica's world was a stage, her crown unchallenged, or so she thought. Sarah returned to her office, the atrium's noise fading. She opened Daniel's poem on her laptop, its lines fierce. Dreams breathe still. She typed a note to HR review staff conduct policies. Her fingers paused. Daniel's silence wasn't weakness. It was strength. And she'd make sure it was seen. The ballroom of Westfield Plaza shimmered under chandeliers, their light dancing on polished marble. Tables draped in white held roses, their scent mingling with perfume and wine. Chicago's elite filled the spacesuits, gowns, laughter a gala marking the mall's 20th year. Daniel Carter stood backstage, his borrowed suit stiff, his notebook trembling in his hands. He wasn't meant to be here. He was a janitor, not a poet, but fate had other plans. Sarah Mitchell moved through the crowd, her blazer sharp, her smile practiced. She'd orchestrated this night, every detail precise. But minutes ago, a keynote speaker canceled a flu. No replacement. The event teetered, whispers of disappointment rippling. Sarah's mind raced. Then she saw Daniel, waiting nervously for his minor role as a staff liaison. His poem, Sonnen, City's Wait, flashed in her memory raw, true, alive. She approached, her voice low. Daniel, I need you to read. Now on someone. For the gala. You're so trying to show we're not to wanting. His eyes widened. Me, I can't. Sarah held his gaze. You can not so certain. You will one. She handed him a mic, her trust unwavering. Daniel's heart pounded. The notebook's pages damp under his fingers. The crowd's hum felt like a wall. Lisa was out there, her badge glinting, her skepticism a shadow. Jessica Reynolds sat at a front table, her silk gown catching the light, her smile a mask. Josh's face steadied him, his brother's hope, his anchor. Not for glory, not for wealth, for truth. He nodded, stepping into the spotlight. The MC's voice boomed. Daniel Carter, with a special reading. Murmurs rippled. A janitor. Daniel gripped the mic, its metal cold. The chandeliers dimmed, the room hushed. This is Rise Again, he said, voice shaking. The city breaks us, its weight a stone. But kindness lifts, unseen, unknown. His words flowed, steady, fierce. We fall, we bleed, we mend, we climb. Each scar a story, each step a rhyme. The crowd stilled, faces rapt. A woman dabbed her eyes. A man nodded, slow. Lisa's arms uncrossed, her gaze softening. Jessica's smile froze. Her wineglass paused. Daniel's voice rose, each line a pulse. No crown, no throne, just hearts that dare to rise, to heal, to stand, to care. He finished, the last word soft. Silence held, thick, electric. Then, the room erupted claps, cheers, a standing ovation. They stood, their hands a wave, their faces alight. Daniel blinked, the mic heavy. He stepped back, overwhelmed. A woman in the back rose, her gray hair catching the chandelier's glow. May I, she asked, voice trembling. The MC nodded, surprised. She took the mic, her hands steady. I'm Grace Turner, she said. Daniel's poem, It's My Son. He was a factory worker. Like Daniel, his dreams buried. He wrote, too, but no one saw him. He's gone now, but tonight, I saw him. Her voice broke, tears falling. The crowd stilled, some wiping eyes, others gripping hands. A young man filmed, his phone steady. Thank you, Daniel, Grace said, stepping down. The applause swelled again, louder, deeper. Not just a poem, not just a night, a movement. Phones lit up, videos posted, janitor's poem moves gala, Westfield star trending. A local reporter scribbled, her pen fast. Daniel's words spread, a spark catching fire. Jessica sat, her glass tight in her hand. His words, kindness lifts, stirred a memory her mother, a seamstress, mocked for her calloused hands. She blinked, her gaze distant. The crowd's cheers a hum. For the first time, she felt small. Lisa stood among the staff, her head low. She'd been wrong, her whispers empty. She clapped, slow, a knot in her chest. Sarah watched from the side, her breath caught. She'd pushed him, but this he'd done it. Her mother's face flashed, her unwritten stories. Daniel had spoken for her, for them all. She clapped, quiet, proud. The gala's host took the stage, holding a plaque. For courage and inspiration, we honor Daniel Carter. The crowd cheered, phones raised. Daniel accepted, his hand steady. Thank you, he said, voice clear. This means more than I can say. Jessica rose, her gown rustling, and slipped out, her heels sharp. He's a fad, she told Mia, her voice thin. But her steps faltered, her throne less sure. Lisa approached Daniel later, her voice low. I was wrong. That was good? He nodded, no grudge. Thanks. She walked away, her badge dimmer. Sarah found Daniel backstage, the plaque in his hands. You didn't just read, she said. You changed them? He looked at her, eyes bright. I just spoke. She smiled, and they listened. The ballroom's glow faded as they stood, the city's pulse beyond. Daniel wasn't a janitor tonight. He was a voice, heard at last. The atrium of Westfield Plaza hummed, sunlight glinting off marble. Daniel Carter walked through, his mop replaced by a clipboard, his faded uniform gone. A week after the gala, his poem, Rise Again, still echoed online. Westfield star, a beacon. He wasn't just a janitor now. He was something more seen, heard, rising. Sarah Mitchell sat at her desk, the office quiet, coffee scent curling. She'd watched Daniel's spark ignite the gala, his words shifting hearts. At 38, she knew change started small. She'd crafted a new role, community outreach coordinator, using Daniel's voice to inspire. She opened her door, nodding as he entered. Daniel, she said, sliding a contract across. This is yours. He scanned it, eyes wide. Coordinator, Miss Sarah smiled. Your words connect people. Start Monday. His fingers traced the paper. Steady now. I don't know what to say. She leaned forward. Say yes. He did, his voice firm. Yes. Daniel signed, the pen scratched loud in the still room. He thought of Josh, his brother's dreams, their South Side nights. No longer hidden, no longer silent. Fun and Cinti, Sarah stood, her hand extended. You're changing this place. He shook it, gratitude in his grip. As he left, the atrium's hum felt lighter, the mall's pulse softer. In her penthouse, Jessica Reynolds sat, her silk gown traded for a plain sweater. Her phone was dark. The gala's glow faded. Daniel's poem, Kindness Lifts, had cracked her armor. She remembered her mother, a seamstress, scorned for her rough hands. Shame stung, sharp and new. She typed, fingers hesitant, a public post. To Daniel Carter, I was cruel. I spilled food, laughed, diminished you. I'm sorry. Your words showed me better. She hit send, her breath shaky. She meant it. Comments flooded, respect. This is growth. Jessica exhaled, her throne humbler. Back at the mall, Lisa stood by the coffee kiosk, her badge dull. Daniel's humility at the gala had unraveled her scorn. She'd whispered, mocked, misjudged. No more. She found him near the fountain, organizing event flyers. Carter, she said, voice low. I was harsh. You didn't deserve it. You're good. Daniel paused, his clipboard steady. Thanks, Lisa. She offered a flyer stack. Need help, he nodded, a small smile. She joined him, her hands quick, her silence kind. The cleaners watched, their smirks gone. The atrium glowed as Daniel pinned a flyer to a board. Storytelling workshop, share your voice. Inspired by his poem, staff had launched it, janitors, clerks, guards, all welcome. The first session buzzed, voices rising. A guard shared a tale of loss, a cashier her dreams. Josh sat in the back, notebook open, his smile wide. Daniel stood, guiding, his clipboard light. Former skeptics clapped, their nods real. More than a job, more than a book. A beginning. It worked, but Funum. The mall's heart shifted, its walls softer, its people closer. Daniel stepped into Lakeview Press's office, the air crisp with paper and ink. Ellen Tran, the publisher, slid a contract across. Your poem, she said, they're real. We want a collection. Daniel's pulse raced. A book, Ellen nodded. Send us more. Let's start. He signed the pen a lifeline. Josh's face flashed his pride, their future. He left, the contract folded in his pocket, a dream no longer buried. That evening, Daniel walked home, the Chicago skyline sharp. He entered their cramped apartment, Josh at the table, books open. Hey, Daniel said, setting the contract down. Josh's eyes lit up. Hey, book you, Daniel grinned. Josh hugged him, tight. Knew you could. They sat in the flickering bulb warm. Daniel wasn't just a brother now. He was a writer, a voice, a light. Meanwhile, Jessica sat in her SUV, Scrolling through her post's replies, a message from Sarah caught her eye. "Thank you, Jessica. It matters." She stared, her fingers still. She'd been cruel, blind. But tonight, she saw kindness could rewrite even her story. She drove off, the city's hum softer. Sarah stood by the atrium's railing, the mall alive below. She looked at Daniel's flyer, all welcome. She thought of her mother, her unwritten letters. Daniel had changed more than himself. Staff nodded to him now, their respect quiet, real. She smiled, small but sure. The mall was different. Not perfect, but better. The food court of Westfield Plaza buzzed, its marble floors gleaming under morning light. Daniel Carter stood by the fountain, a clipboard in hand, no longer a janitor. His suit was simple, his badge new community outreach coordinator. Months after the gala, his poem, Rise Again, had sparked a movement. Flyers for storytelling workshops dotted the atrium. Voices of clerks, guards, and cleaners now heard. Daniel taped one up, his fingers steady, the paper crisp. He wasn't invisible anymore. Sarah Mitchell leaned against her office doorway, coffee warm in her hands. The mall's hum was softer now, its heart kinder. At 38, she'd seen change before. But Daniel's rise was different. His workshops united staff, their stories weaving a new culture. She'd mentored him, guiding flyers, shaping talks, her belief unwavering. "You're a natural," she told him once. He'd smiled, shy. "Just trying." She saw her mother in him, her unwritten dreams alive in his words. Their bond was quiet, built on respect, not words. Daniel's desk overflowed with notes for his poetry collection, set for publication with Lakeview Press. He wrote evenings, his pencil dancing, each line a pulse. Josh, his brother, sat beside him, scribbling his own stories, inspired. "You're a writer too," Daniel said, ruffling his hair. Josh grinned. "Like you." Their South Side apartment, once dim, glowed with hope, the flickering bulb a steady light. They dreamed college for Josh, a future unbound. Across town, Jessica Reynolds stood at a mall charity event, her gown traded for a simple dress. Her apology post had shifted her world, her cruelty a shadow she'd faced. She handed a check to the workshop fund, her smile small but real. "For stories," she told Sarah, voice soft. Sarah nodded, seeing her mother's hands in Jessica's gesture. Jessica's change wasn't loud, but it was true. She'd learned humility outshone pride. Daniel walked through the food court, pausing where Jessica's food had spilled. The marble was clean, the memory faint. That day, he'd been nothing a janitor, mocked, unseen. Now, he wrote Rose. He touched his notebook, its pages worn but full. It wasn't luck. It wasn't chance, so cornerstone. It was kindness, Sarah's faith, Josh's hope, even Jessica's regret. He stood, the atrium's light warm on his face. He was enough. That evening, Daniel and Josh sat on their stoop, the Chicago skyline sharp. "What's next?" Josh asked, his notebook open. Daniel looked up, stars faint but there. "Everything," he said. They laughed, the city's hum a song. Daniel saw Sarah's nod, Lisa's help, Grace's tears. His words had built bridges, his heart a spark. No longer hidden, no longer silent. Free and a warning. Sarah stood by the atrium's railing, the mall quiet now. A flyer caught her eye, "Your story matters." She thought of her mother, her letters lost to time. Daniel had given them voice, his courage a ripple. Staff smiled at him, their respect a thread. The mall wasn't perfect, but it was better, warmer, truer. She tucked the flyer in her pocket, her smile sure. The city pulsed beyond, its weight still there. But Daniel's story, born in a spill, forged in words, proved it could lift. Kindness had won, not with noise, but with quiet strength. It wasn't the end. It was a beginning. His light, once buried, now shone, a beacon for all who dared to rise. If this story touched you, like and subscribe for more tales of courage and redemption. Share your thoughts. How has kindness changed your life? Stay with Unveiled Wealth, where silent voices find their song.